Hello everyone, my name is Dylan, and today I will be showing you how to install Windows 7 in a virtual machine. Now there's different types of virtual machines that you can use. You have Virtual PC, VMware, and VirtualBox. But for the sake of this assignment, that to record this video, I'm using a VirtualBox. But feel free to use anyone that you like. Okay, so before we get started, when installing Windows 7, there are some requirements before you can install it on any desktop or virtual machine, desktop PC or virtual machine. Now, if it's now what we're going to do is here in the virtual machine is that we're going to create the virtual machine as it implies, and we're going to create that environment. So we're gonna create a certain amount of RAM, hard drive space, how many CPUs, video and device drivers, all of that. Now, depending on the version of Windows 7 you're installing in your virtual machine, 32-bit or 64-bit, you will need to find out the system requirements for each type of operating system, whether it's 32-bit Windows 7 or 64-bit Windows 7. Now, what we're going to do here, we're going to set up the virtual machine. So we're going to go here, click New. For name, make sure, you're going to say type here. Type is Microsoft Windows, right? You're going to select that, and we're installing a 64-bit operating system. You're going to select that, and you're going to type for the name. You can just put, I'm going to put Windows 7 64-bit just to make it more recognizable when I see it. Okay. Click next. Now, I had a problem before. It says here the recommended memory size is 20,408 megabits. But when I set it up earlier, it was giving me problems saying that the machine might run too slow. So I'm just gonna put it in the green zone here, to about 1816, about 1724 megabits. But if your system can handle it, you can try that too. You can adjust the memory size. Now I just want to note that the memory size needed for a Windows 64-bit operating system is at least 2 gigabytes of RAM. Now what we're going to do is here is for this part, you're going to select create virtual hard disk. Too, that you need at least 20 gigabytes of free hard disk drive space to install Windows 7. As you can see here, we're going to create a virtual hard disk that's 32 gigabits. Alright, click create virtual hard disk now. We're going to create a virtual disk image here. Click next. We're going to dynamically allocate the hard disk drive. You can select that. You see here, 32 gigabytes. So the minimum was at least 20 gigabytes to install Windows 7 64-bit. So we can just leave it here, and we're going to create. Now we're going to go to settings. Okay, so. Alright, now we're going to click System. Okay, we're gonna uncheck the floppy because we're not booting from a floppy disk drive. We're gonna boot from an optical drive. The reason why we're gonna do that is because the Windows 7 installation, the image, is stored on the Windows 7 installation is stored on an image file. And basically, an image file is just a collection of files that help boot up the system and run the installation. So we're gonna keep the optical drive checked. We're gonna go to storage here, display. For the video memory, you can upgrade that up to the maximum here. You're not gonna get any problems with that. Video capture, you don't need to worry about that unless you're gonna record some videos. Now we're gonna go here to empty because we're going to mount the image to the to the hard drive. Well, we're gonna boot from the image, so we're gonna mount it to the virtual machine. So we're gonna mount it to the. It's almost like we're hypothetically burning the image to a disk, and it's gonna boot from that disk. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna select this image here, ISO file. We're gonna go here and say next, share folders. You're fine here. Network is fine. This is fine. Gonna click OK. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start this machine. Okay. Alright, get wait for it to start. Okay, let's see here. Starting virtual machine. Alright. See, it says Windows is loading files. So it's booting from the image. Okay. So yeah, just bear with me, guys. It's setting up. Okay. So okay. Okay. So now I'm going to click next. Now, since this is a virtual machine and there's a free hard disk drive, there's free space in a hard disk drive. We're going to do a clean install. And ideally on a clean install, you want to use the entire hard disk drive, the entire partition of the hard drive to install Windows 7. But unless you can also partition the drive as well. If you want to do a dual boot to see if some applications work on one operating. If you're going to install multiple operating systems. Let's say Windows 7 and maybe Windows 8. You want to test out. You want to see if apps work on which one. That's up to you. But here we're just gonna do a clean install. So we're going to click next, install now. Alright, so you see it's set up as starting here. It's going to take a while. Alright. Now, I also want to say this is that when you are installing Windows 7, you want to make sure that you have the necessary. After you install it, you want to make sure you have the necessary device drivers, so that if you're installing on a real system, so that devices that you connect to it are working. But of course, it's a virtual system, so you don't have to worry about that. So click next. We're gonna do a custom because we're gonna install a new version of Windows, brand new. So you see here, we're gonna install onto this disk here, this hard disk, this virtual disk drive, 32 gigabytes. Click next. Now it's gonna install Windows. This might take a while. Yeah. So just just wait till this gets all set up. Okay, so this is gonna take a while. So once it gets to the end, we're gonna come back to it, and we're gonna show you the rest of the steps. All right. But yeah, you pretty much it's gonna install these it's gonna install these files, the features, and the updates, and it's gonna restart a few times. So once you get past that step, I'm gonna show you what to do after. All right. Okay, so after your PC, after your virtual machine has restarted a few times, you should get to this screen here that says completing installation. So you just wait a bit. We'll just wait a bit. See that it's completing the installation. Now, after you went through the installation and your PC restarted a few times, you're gonna get to this screen. You're going to set up a user account. You're gonna create a name. For me, I'm gonna create Savory. Nope. Yes. It's my last name. You're going to click, or you're going to click next. Of course, you're going to put whatever name you like. Click next. Create a password. Create one here. Going to create one here. And we need a hint. We need a hint, right? Yes. Now, since we are installing this isn't a purchase version of Windows 7, we do not need a product key. We don't have one. And when you uncheck this box, it removes the ability for the system to activate the Windows 7 product key. Now, you're thinking to yourself, you're probably asking, okay, if I can't put a product key, would I be able to use Windows 7? Yes, you will. Windows 7 gives you a free 30-day trial, and after that, you have to activate it. But in our case, we're just installing Windows, showing you how to do it. And if, of course, on your computer, your virtual machine, if you install Windows and you could obtain a product key somehow, illegally or legally, you can have a fully functional Windows 7 operating system on your virtual machine or desktop. So in this case, we're going to click skip, use recommended settings. We're gonna change the time zone. For me, I'm in New York, so that's on the East Coast, in Eastern time. Click next. You could. I'm gonna set it to a public network, since it's not. I don't plan on sharing anything with other computers because we're in a virtual machine. And I don't believe we'll be able to share with any other computers. So it's getting set up, preparing desktop. Alright, so that's it. Windows 7 is set up. You can, from this point, as I said, you can update. If you were installing on a real machine, you would install the necessary drivers for the devices that you have. In this case, it's a virtual machine, so all the devices are already installed. You see here, everything, you know, audio, optical drives, USBs, keyboard, all that stuff is already set up. So it's already a virtual machine. It has everything ready, all the virtual devices here. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and you can share this with your friends, and you can use this video to install Windows 7 on your virtual machine and have a fully functional Windows 7 operating system. Alright guys, have a nice day. Take it easy.